I think of every single actor that was cast in the Harry Potter movies, the most accurate depiction of any book character was done by Robbie Coltrane in his portrayal of Rubius Hagrid. All of the other characters were much different than their book versions. Harry was way sassier, Ron was way smarter, and Dumbledore was way calmer, if you catch my drift. And don't even get me started on Ginny. And most fans of the book share this sentiment too. I think Hagrid and Luna are potentially the two characters that are just portrayed so well, and they're almost perfect in how the actors portrayed them. But as we keep getting images of Nick Frost as Hagrid, I think I'm really excited, and I'm rereading the series for maybe the 20th time in my life, and I kind of found something that I want to talk about with the character of Hagrid that might be the only thing that Robbie Coltrane didn't get right. Now, this change happens when we meet Hagrid for the second time in the book. It's when he comes to deliver Harry's letter on the hut on the rock. And the movies depict this pretty well, with the exception of one thing that I think makes Hagrid's character a bit better in the book. Now, Hagrid gets exceptionally angry in this chapter, and he has a lot less control in his anger than the movies really portray. There's even one scene where he has like a Gandalf level of anger cloud when he fills up the entire room. And I want to kind of walk through this chapter and show how I think this small little change is really significant for the character of Hagrid, and something that I kind of hope that Nick Frost can portray a little bit more than Robbie Coltrane actually did. But as always, make sure you subscribe and like the video. This channel is kind of just all about Harry Potter, and I'm going to talk through all these different things as I read it for maybe the 20th time. I'm doing some video essays. I'm doing some like book to movie changes. I'm talking about some of the Easter eggs that we missed, and it's all leading up to the HBO series, where I want to get more into some of the details about that and just talk about how I'm just really excited for it. So I think you'd be into this sort of thing. If you want to subscribe to the channel, make sure you subscribe and like the video. But I want to talk about a few small changes that the writers gave to Hagrid that kind of makes a world of difference. They're subtle and they're kind of small, but the first one is the first thing that Hagrid says to Harry, or who he thinks is Harry. In the movie, he confuses Dudley for Harry, and he says,
"Mind, I haven't seen you since you was a baby, Harry, but you're a bit more along than I would have expected, particularly round the middle."
And this is a cute line. But in the book, the first thing that he says to Harry carries so much more meaning. And it makes Hagrid both a character who understands the situation and gives Harry something really beautiful to kind of think about. In the book, the line is, "Last time I saw you, you was only a baby," said the giant. "You look a lot like your dad, but you've got your mom's eyes." And this is small, but I think, just think about what this means for Harry. Someone who has never seen his parents ever. And now this random giant comes into this shack and says that he looks like his dad but has his mother's eyes. It's beautiful. And in the book, the picture that gets painted of Hagrid from the start is that he's generous but also someone to not be trifled with. And they do that really well in the movie too, but not to, I believe, the extent that it happens in the book. Because in the book, Hagrid kind of tosses around some insults in the shack. He goes to Dudley and says, "Budge up, you great lump," said the stranger. And to Vernon, he says the same thing that he does in the movies. He says, "Ah, shut up, Dursley, you great prune," said the giant. But this is also a part that is kind of different too, and a good encapsulation of Hagrid's power. In the movie, he just takes the gun and bends the barrel. In the book, he ties it in a knot again. And if you're thinking, again, "John, this is such an insignificant and dumb change," I'd agree with you, but I think it's actually a subtle change, and I think it's these subtle changes that is the only thing that I can really nitpick about Robbie Coltrane, because he was perfect except for his anger, which I think the book has just a little bit more of. Now, if you even look back at that moment when he bends the gun, that means Vernon Dursley has insane strength to hold on to that while Robbie Coltrane is bending it. And in the book, every single moment that Hagrid learns something that Harry doesn't know, he actually gets angrier and angrier, and the chapter kind of ramps up into his anger. But the very first time, the book describes it in a really chilling way. It says, "I knew you weren't getting your letters, but I never thought you wouldn't even know about Hogwarts, for crying out loud. Did you never wonder where your parents learned it all?" "All what?" asked Harry. "All what?" Hagrid thundered. "Now just wait 1 second." He had leapt to his feet. In his anger, he seemed to fill the whole hut. The Dursleys were cowering against the wall. "Do you mean to tell me," he growled at the Dursleys, "that this boy knows nothing about anything?" Now, in the movie, I think the angriest that Hagrid gets is when he quietly says, "Never insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me." And then the acting when he gets mad, when he kind of learns about, the lie that Vernon and Petunia tell Harry about Lily and James dying in a car crash, just is really toned down in the movie. And this is honestly something that I love about Robbie Coltrane, and something that I think I almost like better in the movie than the book. That even in his anger, it's not really all that convincing, except when he goes quiet, which Robbie was just genius, because I think he really knew that he was a gentle soul. And there's that quote, "Beware the wrath of a gentle man." Robbie perhaps knew that he couldn't get to the degree of loud anger that Hagrid feels in this moment in the book, because in the book, when they talk about Dumbledore in all caps and it's yelled from Hagrid, "I am not paying for some crackpot fool to teach him magic tricks," yelled Uncle Vernon. But he had finally gone too far. Hagrid seized his umbrella and whirled it over his head. "Never!" he thundered. "Insult Albus Dumbledore in front of me." Now, in the movie, it's more like this quiet way that he says this, and I actually love that even more, but it's just different. He's gentler in the book. He still has this wild quality to him that I kind of think we sometimes miss, but he's a person of a bit more passion and anger and gentleness and love and just everything. Hagrid is someone who feels deeply every single emotion that is coming to him. And it's not just in the positive emotions that we see that he's, overabounding, but in the emotions like anger that come out in the hut. It almost makes me think that Hagrid is using some kind of magic to cast this, aura of anger around him in the book. I mean, my theory, and most people who really love the book, is that Dumbledore, being in possession of the Elder Wand, mended the broken wand of Hagrid that kind of got snapped when he got expelled, and they put it in this umbrella. So he has the full wand in that umbrella shaft that he occasionally is able to do sneaky magic with, because there seems to be some definite aura coming out of him. But when Hagrid talks about Dumbledore, and when he talks about the whole Dumbledore thing, he immediately gives Dudley a pigtail, which is true in the movies too, but in the books it feels like he almost does this out of passionate anger. And in the movie, it feels more calculated, like he's thinking about it, because Dudley is eating the cake, and it's kind of all this good decision that the filmmakers make. But ever since this image came out of Nick Frost as Hagrid, I just can't help but think of any improvement that he can actually make on the character of Hagrid. And I have to be honest, I think he has some really massive shoes to fill, because Robbie Coltrane is just a perfect Hagrid. Perhaps one of the greatest adapted characters in the entire movie franchise, and maybe any movie franchise ever, except for his passionate anger. It's the only thing that I think they can improve upon. But let me know what you think down in the comments. Make sure you like the video too, subscribe, and I'm really curious what you think of any other differences from book to movie Hagrid, and where, Nick Frost could potentially improve. But again, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.